Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, go ahead and click that subscribe button. If you're returning, welcome back. So today we're going to be doing medium knotless braids, and I have a video up on this already, like when I do parting, but I kind of want to do this one for beginners and try to go like in depth. So I already made the first part, which was from ear to ear, and that's like the first part you always make whenever you're doing braids. And then that section that's below that ear to ear part, I divided into two sections, and then I am just adding some gel to smooth my parts, and I'm going to go ahead and start parting this section out. And for medium knotless, the first row always has 4 braids, or at least for me. So I make a part directly down the middle of her head in the back, and then I part those sections off into 2 parts. And then after that, I'm gonna start braiding. So you're gonna clip any hair that's in your way out of your way, and then for these sections towards the nape of her neck, I do triangle parts. You're gonna see like me switch up parting later on, but I just feel like it's easier this way for me to grip like the bottom nape of her neck without like adding too much pressure or tension. That's just a personal thing that I like to do. So I know I'm going pretty fast here, but in the next braid I'm going to slow it down and show you guys like step by step how I add the first pieces of hair. So after that first piece is done, we're going to move on to the next piece. And all I'm doing first is adding gel and just combing out the base of her neck so that the braids can lay flat. I do that triangle parting again, and then this time I kind of want to show you guys how I braid. So we're going to take this part slow. You're going to take your first strand, we're going to call it strand 1, 2, and 3. You're going to take strand 1 and put it in between your pinky finger and the finger next to it. You're going to grab the middle finger with your left 2 hands, and you're going to grab the other side with your right 2 hands, like between your pointer and your thumb. And then you're going to start by putting 1 under 2. Okay, 1 goes under 2, and then you take 1 and put it above 3. So now the order is 2, 3, 1. Now that we're here, we're going to find a stopping point, and we're going to add a piece of hair. Now we're going to add it, this is leg 3 and leg 1. Leg 1 is on top and leg 3 is below. We're just going to add a piece of hair, and then we're going to grab 2 from the other side, and we're going to do the exact same thing. 2 goes under 3, and then it goes over 1. And then we're going to stop again after this, and we're going to add another piece of hair. And we're going to do this one more time, holding the base secure, and then we can focus less on keeping the base tight and more on the actual braiding process. So this is 3 going under 2, and then 3 going under 1, and then 3 going over 2. So now we're back at the beginning with leg 1 on this side, leg 2 in the middle, leg 3 on the other side. We're going to add our last piece. Well, not last piece, but last piece for the base. Now I'm going to switch hand placements now that I don't have to focus on making the base tight. And I'm going to do an over braid, and I'm just continuing with that braiding process that I did at the beginning. And you add hair based on how thick that you want your knotless braids to be. And I kind of do it based on how thick the client's head is. You don't want your braid to be too thin in this big square, if that makes sense. So kind of base it off the shape of your client's head and how much space. I don't know if that makes sense, but I hope that makes sense. And after you find your desired thickness, you continue that way all the way down. It's only when you feel like the hair starts to thin up, because it does feather out, then you start to add more hair to your desired length. Now I'm going to finish up on the other 2, and then I'm going to show you how this row looks after doing both. and this is the first row of the knotless, and now we're going to move on to the second row. So whenever I do braids, twists, locks, I always like to do brick parting, which means that I lay like the one braid in between the other braid. I don't lay it directly on top. So basically I align the part above the other part, like directly above the braid. And here, like, you see me doing it at first, but then I moved the part. I honestly went back to do it in this original method and like making the part directly above the braid. Like that, it always works out that way. I don't know why I thought this head would be different, but it wasn't. So I'm gonna fast forward in a bit, just like move past me like understanding that I'm supposed to just do it like down the middle above the braid. But after that, I pre-part all the sections and just put it off to the side. And pre-parting helps me move faster personally, instead of just taking time to part each one out. Just pre-part the whole row and then you can just focus on braiding. So after I realized that I should have just been putting the parts directly above the braids, I changed the parts. So if you look in this clip versus the last clip, you'll see like some difference. So now I'm just taking one of the sections that I sectioned out. I'm going to smooth down the top, and then I'm going to go down vertically and make 3 parts. And now we're going to do the same thing we did before. We have 1, 2, and 3. And 1 goes below 2, and then it goes above 3. And then you're going to do the same thing with, okay, I'm moving slow. You're going to do the same thing with 2. 2 goes above 3, goes above 1. Now, unlike last time we were adding hair throughout, we're going to stop here and then add hair after like at this point. And then we do 3 goes below 1 and above 2. But now we can start adding hair. I make sure to go in twice before I start adding any hair, if that makes sense. So I braid twice before I start adding hair, and this is me just switching my hands over so I can do an over braid. And as you can see, the parting to the right is bothering me, and it bothered me as I continue to braid, and the part still bothers me, but overall, like, the whole row looked pretty good, so I wasn't like too upset about it. Okay, I'm going to show you guys one more time how to like start off the braid and do a knotless braid. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to comb it out, and then you're going to divide it, you're going to add gel, and then you're going to divide it into 3 sections vertically, and then we're going to start braiding. And if my 1, 2s, and 3s were getting confusing, just mute me and watch the video, because I kind of was confusing myself. But yeah, I cut vertically 1, 2, and 3 pieces. And then, like I said before, 1 goes under 2, and then over 3, and then 2 goes under 3, and then over 1, and then 3 goes under 1, and over 2, and that process just continues. And I kind of just wanted to show y'all that, like, how it looks, and now I'm gonna do it for real. So like 1 goes under 2, over 3, okay, and then you do it one more time. 2 goes under 3, over 1, and then you add a piece of hair, and then 3 goes under 1, over 2, add a piece of hair, and then you just keep going until you get the thickness of your braid. You switch over to an under braid, because under braid is faster for me. Honestly, every braider braid is different, and you can see how I'm trying to make the braid as thick as the box. I don't know, I think the thickness just needs to make sense. So yeah. And this is me just finishing up the second row, and then I'm gonna show you guys how it looks. Like that part over there to the right still bothers me, but it looks pretty good regardless. And these are how the parts ended up looking. Like I said, not too shabby. And then I don't braid all the way down. The next thing you're going to want to do to like part the rest of your head is to part directly down the middle of your client's head. And I do this just so that when I make my parts, I'm able to see like the height of the part on both sides. It's just easier for me that way. And then because these are medium braids, I do 5 rows. And I used to like completely pre-part the sections, but now I don't do that. I kind of just like eyeball it and make sure that the section above it is similar to the size of the section below it, and it always just seems to work out for me that way. And right here I'm trying to do brick parting, but I'm also trying to keep the thickness of the boxes the same. So that's why I always like pre-part my sections, so I kind of feel out how the boxes look, and then I go in and start braiding just to make sure like the layout is correct, because sometimes like it can be wonky based on like the type of head that you got, because sometimes like the math doesn't always math. But this is how the parts look, and they look really good, really good. So this is me finishing out the second row, and I'm gonna have 5 rows in total, and I'm just basing like the height of the part based off the one below it, and so far it's looking good. This is me braiding out and parting the 3rd row, still trying to make sure that I'm doing like the brick layering as much as I can. If I can't get it exactly, because as you go up on any client's head, your parts are gonna get kind of smaller, but I don't want that to happen. So I am mindful of the brick parting, but I'm more mindful of how like big the sections are, and to make sure that all the sections are like unison throughout, and it just doesn't get like weirdly smaller towards the top. And I'm parting out my final 2 sections to make sure everything is even. And honestly, you can't even see me parting, you can just see me and like my hair, and we were watching a Marvel movie. But here is a better angle, and this is me just see, I always get out the parts first, I go back and repart if I need to, and then I start braiding. So these are my final 2 rows, and I can show you guys the final product. And one thing I do at the top is that I always have this one triangle in the back, and I do it based on like how the parts look. When I was making the parts, I just didn't see that I should put like a block back there, because the blocks were going to be small compared to the front. So I just put a triangle towards the back, and you'll see it later on, just to make sure that the parts are the same. And honestly, it falls directly down the middle. I kind of think it closes out like the back of her head, so there's not like a space, if that makes sense. So everything just lays flat, and that's just like a me personally type of thing. I know other braiders like they just do complete boxes, but I have like this diamond in your head. It's like triangle, a triangle in your head. And this is just me finishing off the top, and then I'm gonna show you guys the final look. I just want y'all to see how sleek it looked, how neat it looked. And then for me, I combed out the ends before I dipped them. I also put foam on it. Yeah, there we go. Make sure I have that in. But I combed out the ends of the braids because I do not braid all the way down before I started dipping in them. I also put foam on her braids before I started dipping as well. And I'm just dipping up the length, not all the way up, but more towards the bottom. And then I'm using some hot water to go across her head just to like get any excess gel up and just clean that off. And then cutting the ends, and then this is the final look. And I thought it was pretty neat. Like, I thought I did pretty good. And she didn't want any edges. I figured she didn't want any edges, and she loved it.